Alrighty, I'm gonna take a stab at doing these in vanilla JavaScript. So the 7 tasks are essentially benchmarks for like UIs and stuff. Usually people do these in frameworks, React and MobX and whatnot. I figured I'd do them in vanilla, in vanilla JavaScript. Let me answer Chris's tweet real quick. Key bindings. Kick in before the on-screen things. Alrighty. So first is a counter. Basic ideas of a language toolkit. So the counter is going to have build a frame containing a label. Let's just copy that, and this can be our requirements. Well, with line breaks. Oop. A frame containing a label or read-only text field T and a button B. The value T is 0, and each click of the button B increases it by 1. So let's create a text field and a button. So this can be our text, and this can be our button, and put a plus sign here. Oop. All right, so clicking this should increment the value in there, and the value should start at 0. Oh, this should probably be a type of number, huh? This can start at a value of 0. So clicking that should update that. So make this font bigger. So let's first try these. ID is, we'll say that's the number. And that's the number. Should be able to set the number value to 1 manually like that. So that's the effect we're going for, or essentially that. But the values are cast as strings. So I'd need to do number.value percent. Plus 1, base 10. All right, so that's kind of like the end result we're going for based on when we click the button. And I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to make this nice and reactive in a way. We'll get our ink button. It's document, get a link by ID. Yeah, I called that button, right? Yeah. All right, so we'll set up event handlers for those, and should be good to go. So I'm going to do it by composing callbacks, which should look something like wrapping this. Since this is already some duplication, we'll say definitely need a listener. And we'll need the ID, and document can be fine. And yeah, that's all we need. Create a listener by ID, something like this. Probably overkill for what we need, since we're not really doing anything with this as far as listening to events. I can bring this in here, and this can pass in the ID, and this will be our element. Then element, add event listener. I will need the event type too. Do it like this. Event type. And then listener. Alrighty. So we should be able to create listener by ID. This would take our button and click. And then if we pass in a callback to console log out a value, learn how to type. That should be working. So mouse events. Alrighty. So it's gonna be our button, click listener. And let's make it so that we can like keep track of some state after an event. So we'll call this state. This can be add listener, and this can be the listener. And we'll call this track state. State, we'll just hard code it to 0 for now. And all right. So this can wrap that, and then we'll set up the add listener and kind of override the listener. So the listener we pass in can take the state. And then let's just hook this together, and then we can update the state each time we click. So if I track state, hello, I track state on the button click listener, and then pass in a console log. It should log out 0 each time since we're just passing in the value. Okay, cool, that's a bunch of zeros. I'm going to open a incognito window so we don't have those Chrome DevTool logs. Close that one and bring this one over. Alrighty. It's gonna be nice and big. So yeah, that'll log out 0 each time. So all we need to do is kind of define the logic that we want. Actually, let's extract this. This can be our initial state. So initial state, that means we can pass in an initial state of 0, and that should still work. 0, 0, 0, 0. and then like a function to transform this each time. This is typically kind of done like this. We'll call it transform or map function, whatever. We'll call it transform. And that means we can transform the state based on either the value that comes in, but we're just gonna kind of hard code it this time. So we want state to be the result of passing state into the transform function. So we're just going to kind of update it that way. And then we can define this transform function here. And we'll go ahead and just call this x is x plus 1. So if I transform that and click that button, that's incrementing for me. And then instead of console logging, my effect here is essentially just that. So you can see that we are counting in there. Curious. Temperature converter is the next one. I'm going to add a decrement button too, just to, let's see. Yeah, just to make it a bit more full, I guess. And we'll rename this to ink. This one can be deck. That one's ink here. And let's see. This was ink click listener. Then this can be, whoops. Select that and that, call it deck click listener. It's kind of a second transform. This will be renamed to ink transform, or just call it ink. This one can be deck. Alrighty. So what this means is that each of these events coming in, oh, button click listener is somewhere else. So it's getting the increment events, but I haven't hooked up the decrement events. I'm gonna have to map those to these functions that come through. So instead of ignoring this value that comes through, we're gonna pass a function through. But to use both of these, let's call something both. It's gonna be add listener 1. Listener 2, listener, and then both of these can take the listener. All right, so here we'll switch this over. Both listeners are ink and deck buttons. And this can be both and the deck. Quick listener. So we'll drop that in here. Thanks. Yeah, so both of these will start pushing out values, and that's this value here. So right now, both of these would just increment because they're both ignoring this value. So if I click this one or this one, then increment. But both of these, if you look at this value coming through, you'd see that mouse event and that mouse event. So what we want to do is map this to a transform function. So let's write one of those. Map to is kind of a common word for it. Value, I guess. And then the add listener and the listener. So that one looks like add listener value and listener takes in the, let's name this map value. Well, no, that's not what we're doing here. We're just doing this because we're ignoring this value here. Because we're essentially ignoring the mouse event and just going to pass in this function, ignore this mouse event. So if I wrap this in a map to ink, and I wrap this in a map to deck, then the values that come through now, so that was console logging out, and that's happening right here, that function, and this should console log out the deck function. So now instead of tracking state this way, yeah, we can just hard code it. So, I mean, it's just for this demo. So, as long as we name this something, like mutate state. What's that named? Mutate, not mutate, update state. It's kind of like update state with value or with current value, but update state's good enough for me right now. And then that should be good. Transform is not defined. Oh yeah, that's this one. All right, up and down. Let's see. Wrap to deck, deck click listener. All right, state is value state and initial state. How come this isn't subtract? X minus 1. Does my number not want to do negative numbers? Oh, I guess this initial state's not passing through. It's probably something we can set. return x minus 1. So how was that? Four, 3, 2. It's logging out the right value, but it's incrementing. I must have forgot to hook something together. Ink and deck buttons, update state. Oh, that's why. It's because it's just doing +1 right here. Yeah. Duh. Wow, that was... Good thing I did this, or else that would have been a terribly broken demo. That initial click. Oh yeah, that's state. Yeah, this initial state is either this, or we'd have to fire this off once. Let's see. Yeah, we can just have this set the initial state rather than doing it in the UI. So if I don't have a value set here, but I call this listener with the initial state. Oh, that's right. That hasn't fired yet. This hasn't triggered. Yeah, because this isn't. Oh, because number.value is nothing. Let's set that to 10. All right, there we go. So get rid of all this stuff. That's minus and that's plus. That wasn't too bad. Let's do this. Counter. Oops. And kind of call that a day for that one. We'll bring this down here, closer to this. Bring these closer to here. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and push this. We'll call this 1. If anyone's following along, then you can check this out here. So on my GitHub, under a repo called 7, you'll find this under the 1 branch. So that should be right there. Sweet. Let's see what number 2 is. Temperature converter, bidirectional data flow, user provided input. Frame containing 2 text fields. Okay, so 2 text fields, you enter it and it updates the other one. That doesn't sound too bad. I'm gonna have to copy and paste this though. All right, so that and that. Okay, so we'll do 2 number fields. So just we'll call this one F, call this one C. And let's see. That initial state's interesting. I guess we'll just set it in Celsius and have the Fahrenheit react to that initial state of Celsius. All right, so let's get those 2 elements. Document, element by ID, Celsius, and Fahrenheit. Cell and fa. And we'll spell them out. Celsius, Fahrenheit. And let's see, we're getting the values off of each of those and then doing and kind of pushing the value to the other one. Let's see, so this will be fairly similar to the last one. So we'll need a listener and the add listener. And let's see. Both of them will just be sending in a value. It's actually going to be a lot like the last one. Both can send in convert their own value into conversion function, or just the conversion function. No, it'd have to be their own current value and a conversion function. Or I could track the state of both values. Yeah, either way I'd need both. So let's set up that that both we had before. Let's see, add listener 1, listener 2, listener oops. Oh, here. And then I'll need this, where we'll have a Celsius change. Say Celsius input. Take a listener there and Celsius add event listener, input, pass in the listener, and this one will be quite similar. It's going to be Fahrenheit. And I guess we can extract that as a function as well. Input listener by ID. It's got a long name. ID listener, and then I guess it's by element. I'll just do it this way. And then that element goes here. Whoops. Then my Celsius input is a create input listener. My scroll wheel isn't behaving. Oops. This is Celsius, Fahrenheit. Both. So if I do both on my Celsius input and my Fahrenheit input, then log out those values, I should get values as these change. Event. Okay. Yeah, these both have. Just don't know if I want to get the state from the UI. Probably want to track the state of each of those. Yeah. So, but then I have to set the initial state of each of them as well. Yeah, these no, this isn't both. This is going to be two separate streams of information. Because each goes one way, one just goes the other. Yeah, that's not nearly as hard as I thought it was. So we'll do the initial state similarly as last time. It's gonna be, let's see. Oops. And yeah, this will send a conversion function down. Listener. Well, now we have to update the state. Then listener. Oops. So if we do an update state with our Celsius input, the initial state can be 0. And then the listener, the value that comes out of this, will set the Fahrenheit value, that value. All right, so that's, let's see, Fahrenheit value. Let's label these. F or C. Okay, so even though we updated the state here, that's from the Celsius going to the Fahrenheit. And the other way kind of has to work as well. This is one of those things where the I almost want to set up a proxy around Fahrenheit so that when I assign a new value to that, it would trigger a value change, which would then be sent over here. But yeah. But for right now, this can be Celsius. Oh, Celsius input. There we go. Function is not a function. So let's go ahead and map these. And yeah, this is a value. In our case, it's going to be the conversion function. But we'll just do this. And it's add listener, take this value and pass that down. Should really name this mapped value. Did the same thing last time. Because we're just ignoring these, ignoring those events. And then we can map to, this is Celsius. Oh, you have to get the current version of Fahrenheit in this equation. So I do need to track both of them. All right. Good old state. Let's see. So it will be both, and I want to track the state of both. Music is too intense, it's distracting me. This is a cool problem. I mean, it'd be easy to hard code it and just check on the current value from the UI, but you know, the real challenge is to track the state there. All right, so initial state. This can still work. We're just gonna have to do do it like this. Excuse me. I deleted my both function. Let's call it add listener. have each of them fired off. Celsius input and Fahrenheit input. All right, then we have to track state around both of these. So update state. And so the initial state is going to have to track F and C. Well, we already named those. Let's call it Fahrenheit value and Celsius value. All right. And then let's see, inputs with state. See these values for now, but right now these aren't mapped to anything. So I'll be sending events through, and so that I'll set that to an event, and then yeah, it's expecting an event here, or expecting a function there. So let's pull those out. So that'll be map to, so state, and then we'll kind of do it the longer way. Well, this should be fine. Where's that state object I defined? This. Initial state. And then this can be take everything from the state, but update the Fahrenheit value. So this will be the Fahrenheit function, so it'll update the Celsius value. Celsius value. And that calculation is this. So this is state.celsius value. Oops. State.Fahrenheit value. Initial state is invalid. I don't know what you mean. We'll just do it this way. All right. So map to that, and then this is our Fahrenheit input. Fahrenheit. What do we call this? Like a Fahrenheit function pusher. You can rename that later. name this update Celsius from state. The other way around would be Fahrenheit. Oh, there's an equal sign in there. There we go. All right, and then this calculation is this. So that's that. Alrighty. So Fahrenheit should update Celsius. And then the other way around is this. All right, and that one goes there. That one goes there. And if all that context is still in my mind, Celsius function pusher input. Whoops. Celsius function pusher. Oh, my copy and paste failed hard there. Usually a great copy and paster. Alrighty. So that's state. Celsius value -17. Okay. So we have to, oh yeah, this is going to be +1. Oh no, there's a value coming through from, there's an increment or decrement value coming through. Or I guess the current value of the input should be fine. Yeah, so let's see. So we're hard coding into that function. And ignoring this, but we need to get the value off of this. That's the event. So let's see. Map to, this is update state. Howdy. Yeah, we'll have to get the, you can hard code it now and then extract it later. This is mapped value, and that's this function. And that's update state, initial state. Okay, so that initial state is coming through. It should come through that first time. Oops. Yeah, so that's coming through the first time. And then each subsequent time I will need to pass through the current value to the state as well. Do I pass through the current value of both of them? Probably. Passing the current value of both would only take the one it needs. That should be, yeah, we'll try it that way. Mapped value, so that's our yeah, because right here, update state is being called with the initial state. So if that returns a function that expects a current value, then I could use that current value and operate on it with the function that comes through. No, but we're going to pass both the function and the current value through. I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, map to, it's kind of weird that it's going to have to send both, because it's a new value and also a conversion. So map to is not the right word, but we can rename that later. So this can send two values, even though I don't want to. I only want to send one. Let's see, could I do the operation here? I don't think I have. No, because I'm not tracking the state in here. I'd have the current value of whatever the input is that gave me the event, but not the current value of the other one. Is that enough to send through though? Because my update state needs the current value of the other one. Hi, JavaScript Mick. I really don't want to pass both, but it seems like what I'll have to do, the number and the conversion. All right. I'm gonna have to look at other ways that people have solved this. I can do this, it's just that now this one turns into a function and event. Because I need both of those here. It just gets weird real quick. Yeah, let's do it like this. Alrighty. And now this function I'm passing in, which is this, can take current Fahrenheit. Yeah, that sounds right. And then this one is current Celsius. I guess it's a brand new state each time. I don't care about the old state, so I'll have to rethink that. I don't think I need a track state at all. Well, this is getting the value from the UI, but gotta check this. Undefined. Let's give these initial values. Fahrenheit 32 is Celsius 0, right? Alrighty, so doing something wrong here. Alrighty, so return current Fahrenheit. It's a function and oh, that value is undefined. Oh, event.target. Okay, there we go. I will have to get both of these. Celsius value. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not really state. It's just a calculation each time. State.Celsius value. 0.55. Celsius value 2.77, but it's not. Oh, whoops. Let's round those. Math.floor. It's been a while since I've rounded anything. Whoops. Oh, that's working. Let me get rid of all that state I put in there. So we don't need this. And initial state. Do I even need initial state? Kind of, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just applying that function essentially on that value. Maybe I'll just call that apply. By 0 and 0. Yeah, the initial state will have to be. Where is that? Oh, maybe that's what. When he said initial state is invalid, that's probably what he was talking about. All right. See conversion, temperature conversion. Actually, let's see how this reads. Temperature conversion, apply initial state. Yeah, these have these mapped. I don't necessarily like how that reads right now. It's like apply with initial state. But I could also just start it off, like create a separate function that just pushes an initial state through. But I'd also need to yeah. I will leave it like this for now. think about it tonight. I got to head out, so I'll work on 337 in a future date. Let me go ahead and commit this. That'll be in that 7 repo.